I te tuatahi ngā mihi ki ngā tāngata whenua o te rohina, nā rātou te mana, nā rātou te whenua, nā rātou te tino rangatiratanga moa ke tonu. I te tuarua, ko ruapehu te maunga, ko whanganui te awa, ko Aotea te waka, ko te atiho nui a Paparangi te iwi, no Taumaranui me Cambodia, me India ahau, kei te noho ahau ki te whanganui a Tara, ko Aleisha Amohia toku ingoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. I've just acknowledged the people of the land where the conference is being held and introduced myself in Te Reo Māori, which is the Indigenous language from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. That really could not have been a better segue into my presentation today, because today I'm here to talk to you about the Catalyst Open Source Academy, which is a program that my company Catalyst hosts to encourage high school students to pursue tech studies and careers through learning about open source. So to start off, who am I? My name's Aleisha Amohia. I'm from Wellington, New Zealand, where I am the new Koha technical lead at Catalyst IT. I've been at Catalyst and working on Koha for a really long time, since 2014. I've graduated from Victoria University of Wellington in 2020 with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence and a Bachelor of Commerce in Management and Information Systems. And when I'm not here at work, I wear a bunch of other hats. I'm heavily involved in the gender equity and Indigenous justice spaces in Wellington. So like I said, I belong to the Koha team at Catalyst. Catalyst is, for those who don't know, an open source software company. It was started in Wellington in 1997 and has since grown to around 350 employees just in New Zealand. I'm based in the Wellington office, but in New Zealand, we have offices in Christchurch, which is in the South Island, and Auckland in the North Island. In Australia, we also have offices in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. And Catalyst now also operates in Europe with offices in England and Ireland, and in the last couple of years also opened an office in Canada. We're huge advocates for open source technology and data sovereignty. We deliver a huge range of solutions and services using open source software and tools, including accessibility consulting, design, training, and more. We also host the Open Source Awards in New Zealand every 2 years to celebrate open source products and organizations and advocates. We also launched the Catalyst Cloud in 2014, which is New Zealand's only owned and operated cloud computing service. But that's not what you're here to hear about. We also invest in young people and encourage them to pursue tech studies and careers. So throughout the year, Catalyst hosts programs targeted at high school age students. By this, we mean typically kids aged 15 to 18 years old, intending to show them some skills and tools that they might not have seen at school, as well as connect them with industry professionals and mentors who can teach and guide them. One example of this is the Arduino Academy, and so they'll spend 3 days understanding circuits and Arduino programming and creating an interactive group project using the tools they've learned. However, Catalyst's main offering is the Catalyst Open Source Academy. This is a 2-week program to learn about and work with open source technologies. It gives them a taste of real open source development through a combination of classroom sessions and hands-on project work. The students use the process of building a small application to cover things such as licensing, accessibility, understanding requirements, learning different programming languages, and even configuring a server. They then work with developers like myself to contribute to a real open source project. So both the Open Source Academy and the Arduino Academy are run out of Catalyst House, which is based in Wellington. The Arduino Academy will host around 8 students, while the Open Source Academy hosts approximately 20 students. And I did just want to mention, because Andrew was just talking about diversity, we make a real effort to have diverse students in these academies. as long as I've been at Catalyst, the Academy is always around 50% women. So it's really exciting being able to work with those young people. And then this photo, this is all of the students from the 2019 Academy. One of the people in this photo is my little sister, and one of them is one of my little brothers. So it really is a family affair. The first week of the Open Source Academy is about learning the common tools and practices that Catalyst may use for our clients daily. The application that the student builds comes together as they learn about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Apache, MySQL, PHP, and Python. Students are guided through installing a laptop with Ubuntu, which they then use throughout the Academy. And then they'll use a server that they've configured in our Catalyst cloud. The second week has a focus of working on a real open source project, working with developers who really know the project. The students will then work towards getting a patch into the source code of the project or some other contribution as prepared by their mentors. Over the years, Catalyst has guided students to contribute to Drupal, Silverstripe, Mahara, Piwik, and of course, Koha. The Koha team at the Academy is a well-oiled machine by this point. We typically look after a group of 6 to 8 students in each Academy. And for the past few years, I've taken the lead on mentoring the Koha project at the Academy, but throughout the week, the students will get plenty of support from people like Chris, Alex, and previously Haley, Liz, and Robin, and other Koha developers who have come through Catalyst. During project week, we set them up to be Koha contributors in one way or another. And as a reward, they save kittens. I had to put this photo in because Chris is famous for pointing at things at the Academy. So I thought people who knew that would appreciate it. In the 4 days that the students are with us, they get a lot done. One of the most important parts of our process is right at the beginning, and that's installing their Koha development environment or the Koha dev box. It takes a while, as many of you Koha developers here will know, but it's important that they know how to get set up so that they can keep contributing to Koha after they return their Academy laptops and leave Catalyst's offices. That process includes setting up a bugs account, understanding our upstream process, learning to use Git, and trying to navigate the wiki and other documentation. However, of course, the students spend the greatest chunk of their week in the code, reporting bugs and writing and testing patches. We have a Catalyst Academy wiki page on the Koha community wiki, which has a list of bugs that need patches and patches that need testing. They'll work through this list, which we update throughout the week. We always start with testing because it's a really good way to encourage new people to just click around Koha and find out where things live in the interfaces, but also in the code. It's also a good way to learn about the importance of a quality test plan. Once they've tested a few bugs, they're usually pretty eager to move on and try writing code themselves. So I thought I'd show some of the patches that students from the 2021 Academy wrote, which are now in upstream Koha. So one of our students, Eden, wrote a patch to make sure that the fields in the form to write off payments in the staff interface are labeled correctly. It was a minor change, but it means that when you click on the input field, the label next to it lights up, which is awesome for visibility for our low vision users, and especially useful for people who use screen readers, because it means that the technology knows what the purpose of each input field in the form is. So this fix was really important for Koha becoming more accessible. This patch from Amy is similarly about accessibility. It automatically focuses on the main or the first mandatory field in a form to add credit to someone's account. This is useful because it immediately draws your eye to the important part of the page and helpfully places your cursor there, so it's more usable and accessible. We had a patch from Mason, which is again bringing Koha up to new accessibility standards. The way that we'd previously defined an input field in a form as a number field had accessibility and localization issues. Numbers were being incremented or decimals being displayed inconsistently, and it wasn't reliable for our screen readers. So Mason's patch fixed that in one part of Koha. And finally, I thought I would showcase this patch from Victoria, which was slightly more involved than a code change. So we had a couple of students in our project group who wanted to explore their artistic creativity, because not everyone in the tech sector is a coder. So we showed them how to use open source graphics editors like GIMP or Inkspace to develop item type icons. Both Victoria and Ava created new item type icons. Victoria's was an information icon and Ava's was a controller icon. And they're both now available in upstream Koha for you to attach to your item types. The final task of the Academy is to sum up and present their work to the rest of the students. They were immensely proud to present the Academy scoreboard, which tracks how much they've worked on. And now this is where the mysterious kittens come in. Every time you test a bug or write a patch, you save 1 kitten. And when you rescue a patch, which is getting a bug from a failed QA or patch doesn't apply state back to a need sign-off state, you save 2 kittens. The students quickly worked out that they could rescue their own or each other's patches. So that was definitely a major contributor to their total 246 kittens saved. But the goal was still to teach them about Koha and how to contribute to it. And we certainly achieved that through them collectively touching around 100 patches. Even though it's a scoreboard, we found that students were looking at their team total score a lot more than their individual scores. They always endeavour to save more kittens than the Koha team from the Academy before them. And so far they always have. So the 2023 Academy team is going to have their work cut out for them. It's something fun to work toward. It encourages healthy competition. And we keep the scoreboard up at the front of the class all week, so the other project teams have Koha and our success on their minds too. And we save kittens because we're Catalyst, but at past academies, we've saved puppies and villagers from fire-breathing dragons and a bunch of other things. So Koha users are also heroes, but I'm speaking to a community of super librarians, so you probably already knew that. So these 8 students, I've lost my spot, sorry. These 8 students from the Catalyst Academy 2021 have now all made their first contributions to a real global open source project. They not only join the elite club of Koha developers who have come up through the Academy, of which I am a member, but they have also now joined our global Koha community. And even if they haven't logged into their bugs account or their dev box since they set it up with us, they know that they can. And they know that they can reach out to people at Catalyst or people around the world if they want to get involved again. And they can tell their friends and their peers as they move into their tech careers about the project where they got their start. It's really special that Koha is set up in a way that allows a bunch of young people to make their marks on a project in just a matter of days. And mentoring them into that is easily one of my favorite and most rewarding parts of my job. So the Academy is just one of the ways that Catalyst supports Koha. We try to be part of each release team in some way. We regularly make contributions to the Koha code base, and that's usually sponsored by our partner libraries, kind of building on the talk from before. So for example, I'm still buzzing that we managed to get the recalls feature into Koha 2205, which was sponsored by Toi Ohomai Institute of Technology, Waikato Institute of Technology, and Auckland University of Technology, all based in New Zealand. I'm actually really disappointed that I couldn't be in Kansas in person to celebrate with all of you who helped me get this over the line, but I'm so grateful that I could join you virtually, and I hope that going forward, we will always be able to have this online component of KohaCon. I think it's really awesome. Another feature I'm excited about is the Pages feature coming in Koha 2211. I think Jesse and Kelly spoke about this yesterday. So this was sponsored by Region Helens, Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand, and Horowhenua Libraries Trust. These are both really great examples of the Koha community doing what it does best and mutually supporting Koha. However, my favorite example of the Koha community coming together is during the Academy. The wiki page that I spoke about with lists of bugs isn't entirely created by the Catalyst koha team. And we aren't the reason that students can celebrate having their patches pushed upstream by the end of the Academy Project Week. We're so grateful to you all, the koha community, for preparing bug reports for Academy students, being online during an opposite time zone so you're available to answer their questions, and testing and providing feedback on their work overnight so that they can come and rescue their patches the next day. I went through and found a bunch of messages in IRC where people are hyping up the Academy, and the chat is so fun and so active in the lead up to the Academy, with the whole community prioritizing or creating work that the newbies can take on. You are the invisible extension of our project team during the Academy, and we and the students are so lucky to have you. Yes, it's a lot of work and energy to guide people to contributing to a 23-year-old software project written mostly in Perl, but our jobs are made easier by the open source nature of Koha and the incredible support of the Koha community, who care about these kids from oceans away just as much as we do. This year, we weren't able to hold an Academy because of the uncertainty around COVID, and I was just itching to do some Academy type mentoring, so we ran a Koha bug squashing session for technical and non-technical people here at Catalyst. We ended up with 8 new Koha developers and 11 patches into Koha in just one morning. So this is proof that the Academy format works with different audiences. So I'm sorry if you were listening to Andrew's talk before and thought you might be able to get the first patch of 2022 into upstream. That ship has sailed. So we clearly need to update our history, but there is still time for you to contribute to the project, and you still definitely should. So now I'm laying down a challenge to you. There is no reason that we can't have Koha academies or Koha bug squashing sessions happening all the time in different parts of the world. I'm looking at you, person who asked the last question and for the last presentation. It doesn't need to be a 2-week program like the Catalyst Open Source Academy. However, if you have the resources to do something like that, to guide the next generation of software developers into the open source sector, to level them up, then do it. And we at Catalyst can help you. If you can't do 2 weeks, take a morning. Set up the dev environments the night before so that your students can come in the next day and get right into fixing typos or making our code more semantically correct or more accessible. We can help you with that too. Like everything that we do in this community, any action you take doesn't have to be taken alone. I regularly attribute where I'm now at Catalyst to having been a student at the Catalyst Open Source Academy in early 2014. I didn't know back then that at 15 years old, that choosing the Koha team for Project Week would be one of the most significant decisions I might ever make in my career. Koha is better set up than most projects to have this kind of impact and to facilitate these low barriers to entry. When you're setting up your own bug squashing sessions and academies, as you now are all going to do because I've given you the challenge to do so, make the most of the strengths we already have. Use the dev environment, use the community, use the wiki, be organized and start simple. Start with testing, start with looking around. We can save kittens and change lives with academies, and that's really all there is to it. And if you didn't have enough motivation now to go back to Koha to give back to Koha through an academy or a program of sorts, you should know that it's kind of in the name. As was mentioned before, koha is a word from Te Reo Māori, which is the Māori language. And in the Māori worldview, a koha is a gift that comes with or fulfills an obligation, and it describes reciprocity. So if you benefit from using koha, you should set up an academy to grow the community, to level up the community. Like all open source projects, koha is only as strong as its community. We're pretty awesome already, but as our project grows, so too should the number of people nurturing it. When we enable our koha community to grow and to level up, we in turn strengthen koha and broaden its possibilities. I was going to end my presentation with a photo of the academy where I was a student, but that was 8.5 years ago, and I simply can't look at photos of myself from that time. So instead, here is an outdated photo of the Catalyst koha team. Our team looks a bit different now. We really need to update that photo. but the sentiment's the same. We love that our library system can be a milestone for so many young people exploring an interest in tech through the Open Source Academy. We're just a little humble group in New Zealand at the bottom of the world, and we're still so stoked to be part of this community. And we truly believe in koha in every sense of the word. And that brings me to the end. So thank you so much for having me at KohaCon 2022. I hope I get to see you all in person sometime soon. Ngā mihi.
All right, any questions for her while we still have her online? Oh, got a question, just a moment.
Yeah, do you sell bumper stickers that say "Save More Kittens" with the Catalyst logo on it, or buttons or something?
Not
It might be
yet. What a great idea. I'll attribute them to you.
Anyone else? All right, well, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you joining in with us at the conference and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.